but you're not in New Jersey.
But what
and it is close enough. Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, come here. Why don't you drive here?
I'm on my way. I'll be here next week. Oh, I can talk about that. I'm coming to Jersey for a wedding, but not to hang out with you.
That's nice.
Yeah. But
you went from kind to rude AF. So
well, no, I don't have time, unfortunately, to get into
you're my grievance today.
We're back to that. All right.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human. Snark sold separately. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host,
Coach Nick. That's me. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We have a double great episode today. We're going to talk about all-in exercise culture down the slippery slope. We're going to give out some listener love. We're going to air some grievances and whatever else comes our way. Right, Amanda?
That's right, Coach Nick. Whatever else comes our way. I last spoke to you. I saw you 48 hours ago.
Yep, we were doing a special Sunday edition of the recording with our friend of the podcast, brother podcast, Justin. I won't pronounce his last name. You'll have to listen because I can't.
Yeah, Coach Nick doesn't want to embarrass himself, so we'll leave it at that.
Incapable of pronouncing it.
If you listen to the last episode, which interviews Justin, you'll hear how Coach Nick decided to pronounce Justin's last name despite being told multiple times how it was pronounced.
And practicing it and writing it down in like a pronunciation way. Yep, it was all terrible. It didn't work out well.
The misuse and abuse of Coach Nick. Put him on the chopping block, y'all. Cancel him.
I'm bad with names. I don't remember names. Are you a names remember person? Like, so I'll go into a conversation and there'll be a new person and we'll do the part where you say each other's name.
Did you just ask me a question and then you decided to answer it yourself?
Well, yeah, it was like one of those like rhetorical questions. Like, I already know your answer, but I'm going to answer this. And so, yeah, so you ask someone, like, you're about to introduce yourself and like they go first and they're like, hello, my name is, but you're too busy in your mind thinking.
Right. In your mind, it's like, wah, 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 wah.
Not only that, but I'm like, my name is Nick. My name is Nick. It's all going through my head. So as they're saying their name, I'm not paying attention at all. I'm like, I need to remember to say my name. And like, as soon as they're done, I'm like, oh, hello, my name is Nick. And then like a second later, I'm like, I don't know what their name was. I wasn't even listening. I was too focused on my own name. And yeah, that's a thing that people do, right?
I am not people, I guess.
Oh.
But I will tell. Yeah, I kind of have to.
That's true.
It's like, I think about today, I had 4 classes, and there are approximately 20 to 40 people in a given class, and I've had to look at these humans for the last 7, sometimes more years. I got to remember names, but if I don't, and I admitted this to Vicky and Treg on our long run on Saturday, if I don't know a name or I see somebody outside of the environment that I normally see them in, I call them different, like, loving names. I'm like Chief? I'm like, hey, boss.
Yeah.
Hey, babe. Hey, mama. Hey, boo.
You're giving out your secret right now, so if you call anyone that, they know you don't know their name.
That's not true. That's not true. I use those names also with people I know. So it's that way the trickery continues.
That's
but
true.
I do remember most people's names because I create it's called something, but it's like alliteration.
Oh, like something about them with the name, remember. Okay, yeah. Right.
So Nick would be not great Nick, for example.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had to write down on a little piece of paper my neighbors' names because I wasn't remembering them.
How many neighbors do you have?
Like, we're in like the suburbs, so like I got a bunch around me, like a bunch of houses.
You got like one next to you, one next to you,
Well, so
right?
not like direct, like behind too, but like not like just the neighborhood people, like because they'll walk their dogs around, and like my wife knows everyone's name, and but she forgets sometimes, and I'm like, I just had to start writing things down because I was like never remembering anyone's name, and I was more afraid to say it wrong than to try, so I'd just be like, oh hey, neighbor, and then one of my neighbors called me Dominic for 5 years, and he moved before I ever corrected him.
That's
It
not
was
my name. That's not my name.
it was just he was always like Dominic, and the first time I didn't hear it, and the second time I heard it, I was like I should correct him, and I didn't, and then from ever on I was just like, well now it's too late. We've been neighbors for like 3 years, and he's calling me Dominic. I'm just gonna be Dominic. Yeah, don't want to ruffle
That's
any
who I am.
feathers. Yeah, that's my name. So
That's who I
I'm
am.
Dominic or Nick to anyone who wants to see me in the outdoor world.
Well, then you are my father-in-law's name and my husband's name.
Hey,
So really works for me. I'm happy. I'm happy to keep it in the family.
can be both. So yeah, so terrible with names, but great with something else. I had no segue. I don't know. I had a set. It wasn't going where I wanted to, but it's fine.
You wanted to segue. You wanted to segue into what exactly? What is our next? We want to give we got to give a shout out, right?
Yeah,
Is that
we
the
do.
segue? Okay.
Yep.
So you're saying you're not great, like you're great at things the way that our reviewer Erica Bell is great at things, right?
That's the Tregway.
I try to save you every time.
Thank
All
God
right,
you're
so
here.
Erica Bell wrote us a review, hands down, the smartest, safest, and let's be honest, funniest running and fitness podcast out there. Keep up the authentic and useful banter, you two.
Oh, that's great. We were just doing some banter too, so it's like timely.
Erica, you're a real one. Shout out to you.
That was from Buy Me a Coffee. So thanks again for your support.
Thank you. As a reminder, Buy Me a Coffee is a way to financially support the pod and the two coaches in between two coaches so we could put out more professional and unprofessional content.
Yeah.
Right? Specifically the unprofessional kind. So thank you so much, Erica. And again, if you would like to buy us a coffee, you can visit the link in our show notes and or our Instagram profiles. We have our Buy Me a Coffee link in there.
Yeah, we do. And we do not have a listener love question. We are out. So for all of you listening, it doesn't have to be running related. We don't care. But we would love some questions. We'd love to revive this segment and answer some things you would like to know about us. It could literally be anything. I mean, like almost anything.
Me.
Well, like some things. Amanda
Right.
approved things. We will definitely answer.
It's not just, it's like that's with an asterisk. Like it's kind of like, when I see somebody I follow who does and ask me anything,
and they send themselves like 20 questions. Yeah.
Instagram. You can do that?
You can ask yourself questions.
Stop it. No, I don't trust anything on the internet. Not the followers, not the engagement, so many of you have asked me what I eat in a day. I don't trust any of you. Not a single one of you. It's not a thing I do. So I didn't even know that was the thing. But anytime I see somebody, let me revise that. Anyone I respect sharing an ask me anything box, I'm like, you a brave one. Without a disclaimer, even braver. I don't think I'm the one. I'm not sure. But maybe I'll change my mind now that I know that I can write my own questions.
Yeah. And really some softballs. You can also ask people. I could ask you some softballs. Be like, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, now I learned something new. Our best friendship has grown another level today. Because my favorite color is red too.
It's the color of somebody who is powerful. I believe that.
Yeah.
I always feel powerful in red.
Isn't there some psychology around like wearing a red shirt is like makes people feel a certain way? I had to look it up. I don't remember. There is though. Blue is like people like are very like light around you, like it's like an embracing, like a softer color, so people are like nicer around you, and like that's sort of the idea of blue. I was told that once to wear blue during like a big meeting at work. It's like I wouldn't get as much like attacking of my my briefing, and it worked.
Oh, that sounds great. I wish I got that tip because I just stay wearing whatever the fuck I want.
Sweetheart. So anyway, as Amanda makes fun of me and it hurts my feelings. If you have
I
any,
love Coach Nick.
yeah,
Yep.
if you have any questions, do send it. It doesn't like just to your our original
Because
point.
otherwise you're going to hear this, and that's not
Yes,
helpful
this
to
is
you,
this is
me,
much worse.
Coach Nick. This is
So
terrible.
anything at all, it doesn't have to be about running. So yes, send
Yes.
questions. Shall we move along?
Yes. Speaking of clothing, I have a grievance with Consolidated Edison,
Ooh.
aka Con Ed.
Oh no.
There's no amount. There's not a single crop top I can wear to beat this heat. I'm done. I'm done with you, Con Ed. When I look at my Chase bank account and I see that you've ripped close to $300 out of my account. Okay. Let me just give you the setup in this apartment, y'all. Okay. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm married to a furnace and I have a French bulldog. Okay. I have an air conditioner adjacent to me and I have a Lasco fan blowing on me right now. If you're watching this in real time, you may see the threads of my Brooks Hype Fest shirt blowing in the wind. I'm done. I'm done. And I am somebody who considers herself a friend of the heat. I'm the one who's running outside, already acclimated, born for this, made for this. I thrive in this. You know what I will not allow? I will not allow my early retirement age of 50 to be prolonged because I am paying Con Ed, stealing money from me day after day, month after month. And I know it's going to continue because this world is only getting hotter.
It's true. Can't you slap some like solar panels on the side of your like building just for you?
It's clear to me that you don't live here, and that's okay.
It's okay. Right. Yeah,
that's
I don't.
Okay.
But I've seen the city. It looks big.
It is big, and I don't have the energy to slap solar panels on, even if I could.
It's true.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm cooked at the end of my day.
Do you
literally and figuratively?
So I have one of those smart thermostats, and it aligns with the energy company, which is BGE down here. And it will they'll combine forces, and they'll be like, today is one of those super hot days, and it's an energy saving day. So if you keep your thermostat at 77, we'll get you some savings. And so then the thermostat will start doing it because it'll assume that's what I want, and I'll have to run upstairs and be like, I absolutely do not want this. Turn this off. And even if I did do it, because I've done it once and been like, oh, sure, I'll keep it at 77. What's the worst that can happen? I saved $3. And I was like, I just rather be cold than, save $3. So no, thank you on your energy rush day when it's 100. It's always when it's 100 degrees out. It's not like It's 80. They're like, energy rush day, 80 degrees, turn your thermostat off. I'm like, sure, I would probably do that. Maybe, probably not.
My husband's in a place right now where he is in the home more. He is employed through the home more. We are hoping to have him employed outside of the home more. And I'm at a point now with this bill where I am asking him to leave our house, go to the gym where it's air conditioned, bring his laptop, and he can survive there because it's giving very much. He's going to need to take up a second job because 50 is my end point. 50 years old, that's the end point for Amanda. So guess what, Nicholas, step up. But the real grievance, yes, is with Con Ed. And I didn't even know, I'm so in my own world that I was unaware that there were other companies stealing money from us. I thought it was just Con Ed.
I think in New Jersey, it's like JCP&L, maybe? I don't remember. There's I don't know. They're all probably somehow related under some bigger company. I don't know how the energy world works. But we could have an expert on. We probably won't, though.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just going to attack that person. I don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah. So I'm going to leave that at that because, the heat's getting to the head and I can go on and I just really don't have the energy. I can't pay for the energy either. Yeah. Yes, that is that bullshit.
Well, Well, we're grieving and we're hot, but one day we won't be.
That's that we have a lot to look forward to. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay. All right. So before we get into today's topic, which is all in exercise culture and how it is quite the slippery slope, we just wanted to let you guys know we have several special guests coming to you guys this summer. But we're starting. Well, Justin, you were very special if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Very special, the most special. But we have coming up my friend, colleague in the space, and fun fact, she's my spin student, Dr. Stephanie Roth Goldberg. You may know her from @embodied psychotherapist on Instagram. She is going to come on the pod and talk all about her role, who she supports in the eating disorder recovery space, how it relates to athletes and running. She's also a runner, and she just has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's going to lead sort of from this episode into that obsession dependence kind of world, right? And so, and also soon to be my friend, also after next week's podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, all of us are friends.
Probably.
Stephanie, no pressure, no pressure. If you don't want to, just blink twice. Okay. All right. So I guess we should, Nick, you want to start us off just explaining, I guess, what we mean by all in exercise culture?
I absolutely do. But thanks for asking. So by all in exercise culture, we sort of mean this. So you hear it all the time, right? Of like, it usually represents someone going for a goal or something, and they, utter the phrase all in, or they're sacrificing everything, they're going all in. This mentality and this inability to operate in this gray middle space of life, right? Like it happens all the time, black or white thinking, but like when it comes to exercise, a lot of people struggle to do things in a balanced, moderate way. Instead, it's I will literally give up everything in my life because nothing else matters, because this goal has all the importance to me. Or when maybe they do that for too long, then it is this goal, my journey requires too much of me because I made it that way. And now I'm not in at all and I'm out. And so it's a slippery slope because it's this, way of thinking that is unsustainable, but it is promoted as the only way. Because if your goals don't demand everything of you, then how you're not really trying, right? And so the concept always is just that most people aren't, if you're not serious enough, if you're not willing to sacrifice the things you love, you hear it all the time, and it's just a phrase that's uttered, and it sounds great, but the slippery slope of it is what happens when you do that for too long. What happens when you don't start realizing your goals because you go all in and it's not getting there? What happens when you are so, and we'll get into this probably more next week, but so dependent on it that you need it and you can't stop even when you need to? These are a lot of things that happen, and this is this slope. But the general idea, how I see it as all in culture, is just pushing too far in the direction of whatever modality, whatever type of exercise you want, and only focusing on that, and getting rid of the things in your life that bring you joy, right? And we've talked about in this podcast before of like drinking or like going out with friends. And sure, some people, if to sacrifice that doesn't mean as much to others, they might not want to do that stuff. So sure, don't. But everyone has some joy outside of exercise. And when you feel like you have to get rid of that stuff, it comes with a price later on, because you've lost that thing that has given you joy outside of exercise. So that's my synopsis. What are your thoughts Amanda?
When you were talking about how it presents itself, there's so many. It may present itself as there are so many physical. Let me take a step back. When we say all in exercise culture, that could be at the gym, it could be in running, it could be via group fitness, whatever, like Coach Nick said, the modality is. There are mental and physical health consequences that you are either choosing to ignore or are going to present themselves soon, right? It may not be today, it may not be next year, but it's coming, right? And it presents itself, I think, in little ways, right? Your inability to take a rest, you're working through injury, you didn't sleep the night before and you push yourself to go out on a run despite the fact that you really didn't need to and you shouldn't have. I think it also comes up in the obsessive tracking and of food, of exercise, of step counts, sharing your workouts on a platform, feeds into the no pain, no gain mentality. It becomes what happens when it becomes all consuming is that you lose your identity outside of the gym and running or whatever modality you're engaging in. You start to lose hobbies outside of the modality you're engaged in. So, like you were saying before, whether that's get togethers with friends or going out for a drink. When it becomes all consuming, I also see that folks have in their minds they have in their mind a certain image and physique of what fitness looks like, which, as we know, is harmful. Fitness doesn't have a look. When I see it come up the most in my athletes, when taking a rest day for them feels like the workout, that's when I ask them to get curious.
Yeah. Like down weeks too is something I see. Like a lot of my athletes like, why we need down week? Are you sure you need it? Like this volume is fine. I can keep this up. I don't want to lose fitness. And like the scientifically proven fact of how down weeks help you grow and help you maintain this fitness over time is constantly proven. It's built into all training plans, at least in the running world and any fitness world, right?
Yep.
You don't lift heavy every single week in lifting. You don't just rip um, the hardest cycles all the time, you know? So we have these built in so we can work hard during those periods. And then when it's time to rest, that's when people really struggle with off days, down weeks, lighter weeks. When you mention identity, that's a big factor. And you see it a lot. People lose themselves. And because it's exercise, it's fine, right? It's healthy. So no one can say anything because we're just doing something healthy. If the all in culture was something society deems bad, oh my God, all you do is play video games, or all you do is, do this other hobby, like surfing or whatever random thing you want to pick. And surfing's not bad for you, I guess. But whatever thing that is unhealthy that someone does, well, we're ready to crucify them for that being their identity. But with exercise, it's like, oh, well, so you just, you work out all the time, you just want to look, you want to look good. You want to keep pushing. You want to reach your goals. Why would we ever say anything? But you lose those things in your life. You lose who you are. You lose the things that you love. Like I always like to say the phrase, like, at least when it comes to running, but like, bring running along with your life. Don't stop your life for running. And it's another big place is vacations, right? Like everyone has vacations, and we usually spend a decent amount of money on them, and with family or friends. But we have to work out. So now we can't eat. We can't have fun. We can't eat the things we want. We can't go to the places we want because I'm all in on my goals, and this stuff is just a distraction. Everything in life becomes a distraction that isn't the exercise. And that's when you lose yourself, you lose people, you lose the things that you love, you lose the things that you had in your life, and then
you lose experiences, you miss out on these things because you prioritize what you've become dependent on to cope, really.
Yeah. And what happens when that slippery slope, right? So what happens when you reach that breaking point? Because we all do. Like, you can't. It looks fine on social media that people are doing this for a year, and then all of a sudden you've forgotten about that person because they stopped posting. Because you know what probably happened is they got injured, they burnt out, something happened in their life, and then all those people, all those experiences, all those hobbies, they're gone. And they're like, well, what's here to support me now that I can't exercise because I'm hurt, or I burnt out and I can't do these things? Like, where are these coping skills? Where are these things? Well, they're gone, right? And that's this slippery slope because you've pushed so far in a direction that you've alienated everything else out of your life that you have nothing to turn to.
Yeah, there's a very fine line between having a passion for your movement routine and it being the only thing that gives you purpose. So there are a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Everything that you're saying was, I kept on saying yes, 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 because the reason why it's not identified by society as a problem is because exercise and also eating quote unquote clean, right? When we see clean eating, when we see no, like somebody going to the gym for hours at a time, or being there 7 days a week, in our society, that's a health promoting, those are health promoting behaviors, but they're harmful. And there are other addictions that you were bringing up, and I do want to point out. So, for those of you listening to this, you may or may not know this about me personally, but I've been sober for 7 years. I've never I never had an addiction to drugs or alcohol. However, I found that I did not physically feel well when I had alcohol. And one New Year's 7 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good, guys. I'll be the DD tonight. And I haven't had a drink ever since. And there is absolutely, I'm not saying this to say that there is something, wrong with folks having a drink responsibly. I will not, I will never be the one to say that. Do we know that do we know though that that is an addiction, alcoholism, or somebody who has an addiction to narcotics or pornography or gambling, right? These are addictions that society is like, no, you don't want to go down there. And we isolate people who admit that they have problems with those substances. What I actually have found in my experience professionally and personally, I know many members in the community who identify as addicts to all those substances I shared. And what they'll do is they'll practice actually addiction replacement. So when I say addiction replacement is when somebody with a history of addiction to substance, alcohol, love, drugs, gambling, etc., heals, quote unquote, from one substance and replaces it with another. And because we don't see exercise as an addiction, despite the fact that actually many eating disorder organizations are now identifying it as one, we don't think it's problematic. But I see this a lot in the fitness and running culture, also in eating disorder recovery. So people don't notice it as much because the behaviors are accepted in society and they're thought to be health promoting. So it's called discipline or it's called clean eating. And this is very problematic because the people who actually need help, they're getting enabled and applauded for their behaviors. And the root cause of this new addiction, it really needs to be addressed. And oftentimes, for me, if I see it and somebody comes to me, right, I'm not calling people out for their, I don't have the credentials to diagnose anyone. But if somebody comes to me and they're worried that they may be going down the slippery slope or somebody they love maybe, I always have them, one, reach out to professionals like Dr. Roth Goldberg, aka Stephanie, who will be on the pod, because it really is a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I also recommend, just as a professional, that they pause exercise for the time being. And that's really hard for people to hear, but it may actually not be physically safe for them to continue engaging in exercise in the way that they were.
Yeah, and as a friend, like one helpful way is like, if you know someone through exercise and that's your friendship, or hang out, find a way to hang out with them outside of it. Like, oh, we'll go
Such a
for
good
a
idea.
walk, or we'll go get pastries or whatever
Let's
fun.
go to the book club.
Yeah, like a little thing outside of that you can like, so because sometimes people feel the addiction is, sometimes it's also like that community is addicting, and like they have to be here and they have to keep up, and they have to, the people around them are maybe not the same like everyone has a different level of how addiction affects them, addictive personalities and such. So some people probably do it in moderation, but the community, you see that person there whenever you're there, and you're like, well, I want to see my friends, so I have to always come, and my other friend comes on Tuesday and my other friend comes on Wednesday, so I got to go both days, but those other two people are taking the opposite day off, right? And so yeah, it's, and I think the other part of all this, right, is like in all these exercises there's professionals, right? I don't think everyone's goal is to like be a professional, but we look at them and we're like, wow, if we train, like we could be some level of them. And so what we lose in this is like, yes, there's genetics, but we also lose that like they're so much better at balancing this than the amateurs and like everyday people who are like, oh, I got to do this for 12 months. And those professionals are like, oh, well, my season's over, I'm going to go take 3 months off and go vacation. I'm going to not think about that discipline because I worked so hard on it during the times. And so like they have such a better, not all, obviously I'm not going to, but like a majority of them who stay in it long times do such a long time, have such a great job of balancing that and having things outside of that they do and enjoy. And when it comes time to rest, they know how to rest. When it comes time to break, they know how to break. And so sometimes we look at them and we think, I want to model that, but we don't want to model the rest part, because that's, I don't need that. They do, or so. Yeah, I think that's the other part of it, right? And so like to look at people who do this at that level and just, acknowledge that like they look all in during the times they need to be, but they're not when they don't need to be. And like, unless you can handle that, like you can't be doing this all the time, full time, every month for years.
Yeah, it's professionals in the sport that the individual is interested in. But I also see it as a fitness instructor. I've had people in my classes ask what I eat to look how I look. I've had folks ask me about instructors that they see online that are, one would argue, they're more so fitness influencers than actually professionals of fitness. How they can maintain that. If they're teaching X amount of cycling classes a day, then the general population can be doing that too. It's just not these. This is not helpful to your journey. These questions and this comparison is not helpful to your journey. And like you said, Nick, you're not seeing the whole picture. You're not seeing how much I actually have to eat. You're not seeing how much I have to rest my body. You're not seeing that I'm sleeping for literally 9 hours a night because I need to. You're not seeing all of the prehab and rehab work I've had to do. You're not seeing it. And well, some of you are seeing it, but it's not, some of you are seeing it, but I try to be really mindful of what I share. I want to normalize certain things, at least in my space. I want to normalize eating food. I don't need to mention weight or numbers. That's not helpful. But anyway, I went off on a little rant because when you mentioned professionals, I feel some type of way about us comparing ourselves to folks we see on social media, period. So that's where I'll leave that. But I think what you were getting into before is, how do we know when our love for exercise is harmful to our health, right? And what we can do about it. Starting off with what Nick was saying, how if we notice somebody we love or a friend of ours is engaging a little bit too much in an exercise, fitness, or even like extremes around eating, like orthorexia, for example, like I had covered on the eating disorder podcast we did. I think just like you were saying, getting them into communities that are not related to fitness or movement is so helpful. I would, like we were saying earlier, I would be really mindful if you have a hard time taking a rest day. Um, if you have a hard time making the decision to cancel a race, I know how hard it is to make that decision, right? Even as somebody who has a positive relationship with exercise. But if you're literally coming down to the wire and a medical professional has told you it is not safe for you to engage in exercise, I would say that's a red flag for yourself. Um, like we were saying earlier as well, if it's the only way that you're processing tough emotions and it's through movement, I would say that that's when it becomes a slippery slope to slide down, and that engaging in therapy would be very helpful for you because we need more than one therapeutic practice in our toolbox.
Yeah. No, I think that's a super solid point, right? And so, like, having a lot of times we feel like we need this time to, decompress or work through our issues and stuff. And so, your point, like, maybe sometimes that works, but like, there's all in culture and there's all in exercise culture, and then there's dependency on it, right? And so, I know we'll talk more about that next week, but like, when you are so dependent on something that, like, if you have a bad day, you have to do it no matter if it's a rest day or not. Like, sometimes people struggle at rest days and sometimes people are okay with it until something happens in their life and they have to get out. I have to run today because this happened in my life, or my kids are driving me crazy, or this and that. And I get it. We all get those stressors in our life. But if exercise is your passion and something you're chasing goals with, it also can't be the thing that you're dependent on all the time, because then when you need to rest, you won't be able to. And that turns into all in. And that turns into this idea, because now all of a sudden I can't rest. I have to do this. I have to do this. I'm dependent on this activity all the time for my happiness, for my sanity, for my, ability to cope through moments. And, running clears your head. That's great. And those things exist. But like, so does therapy, and so does other things in life to support you as a human being. And for me personally, like, I didn't, my wife's a therapist, and I started therapy in my mid 30s finally. And there's nothing better in my day than talking to someone, having them listen to me for like 45 minutes and like providing non-biased responses, because it's super cool. I learned, I walk away sessions and I learned a lot, and I feel like I learn like more about myself. But in this world here, like, just watching, your exercise is harmful to you when you're dependent on it and when you need it to get through the moments of your life. And when you feel like the only way to chase goals is to go all in, sacrifice everything, give up everything you love, maybe reevaluate that you can chase your goals and balance your life. Like, it happens all the time. Some of the best athletes in the world, do things in their life they love, go out, have fun, see friends, and they crush their work when it needs to be done. They crush their workouts, they crush their training, and then they go live their life. And you feel like all in is the only way to get there. You're living in this black and white world where you struggle in the gray. You struggle in this world of balancing where, yes, I'm going to go run today, but I'm going to go out Friday night because my kids have a game, or I want to see my friend I haven't seen for a bit. Oh no, that workout the next day might be a little harder because I was out till 11 and I usually go to bed at 7. Maybe people go to bed that early. I don't know. But, and then you're like, okay, well, it is a little harder. Is that going to ruin your entire run, like season of training? No. But did you get some joy from seeing your friend? Yes. Okay. Like you don't need all in convinces you that the only way to chase any goal or any meaningful thing is to give up everything else. That's when it becomes hardful.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways from what you just said is I encourage people who have a challenging, who find themselves having a challenging relationship with exercise and they're depending on it a little bit too much. I encourage them to say yes to more activities that are not exercise related. A friend is coming into town, but it conflicts with your long run, say yes to the friends. The long run, is it something that's important in your training? Sure. Can you be flexible and see your friend and then take it up with running at another time? You also can. And I think that when you work with, this is a pitch for Nick and myself, that when you work with professionals that are able to provide you with flexibility within your training plan, you become more open to the possibility that there's a life outside of your training.
Yeah. I had like 3 athletes text me in the last 2 days of like, can I move this around? I'm having a friend coming in.
So
Can I do my
normal.
long run on Friday instead of Saturday? Because I want to spend time with them. I don't want to be running while they're there. Like, that's not bad. Like, yes, so you're like, you could be like, oh, well, just don't do the wrong run at all. But at the same time, like, if you can be flexible and then you still want to spend time with the person you want, that's not sacrificing everything. What we're talking about is being like, oh, sorry, friend who's coming into town, I can't hang out with you because I have to do my long run and I don't have any time for anything else. So, like, that would be what we're talking about. Like, being flexible, moving things around, supporting your life by changing training. That's a healthy balance that is encouraged. And that's what coaches are here to help you with and should be encouraging of it until, like, you're like, I want to do my hard workout on Saturday and my long run on Sunday. At that point, I might be like, hey, let's like not do that. But outside of that, like, I'm very flexible with how like people want to move things around because I want you to live your life and I want you to have that balance. And as coaches, like, showing that you balance your life is a big deal. Like, a lot of my athletes come to me or like tell me that they see me juggling, my family and my goals and my life and having fun and still doing the things, and they're like, I didn't think I could do that, or I felt this certain way about going out a Friday night and then running a long run. Like, I would be disappointing myself or you, but like hearing you encourage it or seeing you do it like makes me feel comfortable doing it. And so as coaches, like, we can help by living a balanced life, showing it and supporting it.
I don't think there's anything better than that.
Yeah.
Living through, practicing what we preach. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, Coach Nick, aka Dominic, before we wrap this?
I don't. I think
That's not my name.
I think we did it.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it. Well, we're really excited for the episodes to come, starting again with Stephanie next week. We have when I look at the calendar, I am just elated.
We made
Dominic.
a calendar, guys, and we planned out some series coming up in August. More to come. We have some.
We are booked and blessed through fall.
Yeah, it was like we got some great ideas coming. So we're happy you're here. We're happy you're along for the ride. We have fun guests, fun topics, fun ideas, fun series, you name it, we're ready.
Yes, we are. Hop in. We're going for a ride. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a 5-star review and let us know. Reach out to us at any time between two coaches. That's TWOcoaches@gmail.com. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.